3, 2, 1, 0. Starting screen. Hey guys, welcome to another dual commentary. This is going to be set 4 between Cal and Jaedong, and Jaedong is up 2-1 on Cal, so on the verge of a possible championship. Cal needs to fend it off. He wants to take it to Game 5. Maybe he can fight it off, but man, that last match was just so tough. Really, and looking kind of shaken right there. I would say his confidence really has to be shattered here. This is going to be on Zodiac. Looks like Cal is starting at the 9 o'clock position in brown, and Jaedong in the meantime at the 12 o'clock position in white.
Yeah, Cal has been trying. I think I've got to give a lot of credit to Cal. He's been trying to play the aggressive StarCraft game. We saw that last time. He was really trying to put the pressure on Jaedong, and it was just Jaedong just being able to play perfect StarCraft. And this comes down to, I think, the point I was making in Game 2, that Jaedong playing just a normal game of StarCraft is good enough, and Cal isn't good enough for Jaedong to just triumph. And I think that's really what's telling here. Cal isn't doing anything devastatingly stupid. He isn't just being a complete moron and you know, sending in a bunch of zealots against mutalisks or something stupid like that. But he's just basically being outplayed and outmacroed. In the last game, I think there was a clear point where he had the advantage. I think both you and I agreed on that he had the advantage, and Jaedong wrested it away from him through just sheer will and force of play, and that's what the confidence and skill of a champion comes from. And Jaedong really is as true a champion as StarCraft has ever seen. And another thing I wanted to talk about, things, something called excitement. I mean, excitement, when we talk about excitement in StarCraft, I think this has definitely been an exciting series, but I think excitement, and it looks like Jaedong's going for the 12 hatch again, predictably. But as far as excitement goes, I think it's sort of starting to be used like tragedy. Everyone these days calls everything tragic. You know, Britney Spears being on drugs is tragic. No, it's not. You know, Savior's fall from dominance is tragic. Boxer having to go to the military and not having time to practice is tragic. July Zerg losing out is tragic. Bisu losing is tragic. Britney Spears is not tragic. And I think similarly, we've got the word excitement that gets bandied about when it comes to StarCraft. Every other game of StarCraft is just the most exciting game of StarCraft ever played. Perhaps so, perhaps not. But I think definitely this final has been an exciting final. Though I have to say, for me, it's not been the best final series I've seen thus far. But maybe that will change in this last game and the game to follow if there is one. So that's my little rant over with there. Sorry about that tangent, guys.
That's
just,
fine.
Just had to get that off my chest.
You earn it. In the meantime, I'm surprised actually, if you look at the front door of Cal, he's kind of set it up in an awkward position. He put his pylon and his forge parallel, also putting, that's very clever, just relying on the fact that Jaedong was going for another 3 hatch, putting that pylon to blockade. We'll see if that disrupts Jaedong's build. But as you can see, yeah, you can see that interesting build. He's putting that cannon in between and kind of creating a weird parallel, not what I'm used to seeing as far as a Bisu build kind of box. In the meantime, Jaedong does have that second hatchery down, now putting down the third hatchery inside of his base instead of going for that is that a mineral only? No, going for that sorry, the mineral gas for that third expansion. We'll see if that, it looks like he's adjusting perfectly, and we'll see if he decides to go again for that 3. He has that 1 gas. If he's going to go for that 3 hatch Hydralisk build, he's going to be in a comfortable position to do so. A couple of Zerglings pushing through, going to attack, and we'll also see if he decides to dedicate. And so yeah, that's just a weird build from the front, and that really, we'll see if he decides to opt to not go for, we saw him in the first game go for the gateways instead of the Corsairs. We'll see if he decides to do that again. Later going on the outside hatchery, we'll see if that drone can get around, or I'm sorry, that probe can get around to scout that. It looks like it's just heading out there. No, he's just trying to keep it alive. It doesn't look like he will scout it, bringing it around a second time, but Zergling's there to engage. So I don't think he's going to scout this out, and I think this might be a little bit troublesome for Cal, because Cal's seen those 3 hatcheries going up. He hasn't seen that layer going up. Jaedong could very quickly adjust if he wanted to into more of a Spire build, whereas I think Cal might be thinking about Hydralisks at this point, or maybe something along those lines. We'll see. But yeah, in the meantime, his front door, I still worry about the way that's configured. But we'll see if he decides to put down the 2 gateways instead, because it really is configured to kind of push troops through instead of to defend that natural expansion and kind of do that Dark Templar sort of harass. But we'll see what he's up to here in the meantime.
Yeah, Jaden's got a handful of Zerglings out, just trying to keep that scout out, and now he's going to actually put down the 4th hatchery and take that gas. So Jaedong has been very bullish in his expansions, in the way that he's expanding. It looks like he's actually going to, I think he might be looking to put on Hydralisk Den here. And no, he actually puts on the Spire Force. So Jaedong puts the Spire Force, and that's why he's so keen to deny the scout this time, because I think his opponent obviously is anticipating Jaedong will do the exact same that he's been doing thus far, putting up the Citadel of Adam. This is going to be horrible here for Cal. This is just going to be really, really tragic. This is going to be tragic, folks. Not Britney Spears, my friends. This is going to be tragic because Cal has now gone for the Citadel of Adun, anticipating Jaedong going for those Hydralisk Den and trying to get those speed upgrade Zealots. But Jaedong's going to have the Mutalisks, and Cal focusing his defense on his natural Expo. And all Jaedong has to do is keep denying him the scout, and he's just going to fly in with those Mutalisks and just completely ravage all of Cal's forces and just make violent love to them, which Cal is not going to enjoy. And by violent, I suppose love is the wrong word. We'll just say violent. Well,
Yeah.
we'll just leave it at violent love. But yeah, I think the key thing for me in terms of Jaedong's play, if you look at, I think the key difference, we talk about upgrades and all the other things, but I think the key difference has been more basic than that. I think on Blue Storm, Jaedong did not have a Spire, or if he had a Spire, I certainly didn't see him produce too many Scourges. Whereas we've seen a lot of Scourges, and I think that's been the key, being able to take out those observers with the Scourges at key moments. And I think Jaedong probably realized that, and he has been going for the Spire. And I think it's very clever of Jaedong, because his build where he went for the Hydralisk, whereas this as opposed to this time where he's gone for the Spire instead. And you can see there's not a single photon cannon in that main. He's gonna have the Templar Archives up. The question is maybe he might put up an Archon to get an air defense going. Whether or not he's gonna have that up in time is another question. But the great thing about Jaedong's build is that it's so adaptable. The way he does it is that he can go Hydralisk, and if he denies the scout, he can switch to Spire, and his opponent is still going to be thinking from the last game. If he's stuck in the last game, if he's still ruminating about his mistakes in the previous game, he's going to be trying to anticipate those Hydralisks and play accordingly, and end up playing right into Jaedong's hands.
Yeah, now you can see those Mutalisks are out, and I feel like it's too late for Cal. We saw one cannon down, but the other 2 cannons morphing in. These Hydralisks are going to be on top of those cannons before they manage to warp in. That's absolutely disastrous. So there's one cannon warping in, the other 3 just being put down now, and that one cannon is easily going to be taken out by these Mutalisks. And when you have Mutalisks above you and the cannons aren't yet warped in, pulling that Mutalisk out even, not even going to lose that. And again,
That's
I worry
GG
about that
right
front...
there.
Oh, yeah, that's GG. I worried about that front base configuration. I was right. He fell even further behind as far as gas production, because he just had his probes exposed, didn't have a cannon holding basically close, hugging that nexus to defend against, and those Zerglings were able to pummel and keep Cal even further behind, losing a single Mutalisk, but it doesn't even matter at this point. Yeah, it's just, that's horrible. Gonna be GG at this point, and having had another interruption, that's okay. But maybe that Templar will be... no, that Templar getting picked off almost immediately by those Mutalisks now in the meantime. And so, yeah, and another Templar trying to hide it in that corner. But yeah, that one getting picked off as well. That was maybe the last stopgap measure. But honestly, I think Jaedong is a capable enough player to dodge those Mutalisks out of any side storm. But yeah, it looks like looks like we're going to end up seeing another Jaedong victory. So Jaedong taking another championship down. Very, 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 I would say, and really relaxed in this victory here. Archon down to the secondary, but it's just too late.
Yeah, convincing, comfortable victory for Jaedong, and Cal's resistance crumbling like some old castle walls. I actually went to St. Bride's Castle in Wales with my wife last week. That's where I was, holidaying away, and really the 200-year-old walls of that castle were more sturdy than the defenses of Cal in this game, and unfortunately he's just completely played. And this is it, you know, if you don't scout the Zerg, this is what happens to you. And if you go in for these all-in builds with your speed upgraded Zealots, I suppose he did put up the Templar Archives, so it's unfair of me to talk about speed upgraded Zealots, but he didn't put up the Stargate, and that's been a pattern of Cal's play. He did put it up in a couple of the games, but without the Stargate he had no scout, and without the scout he didn't know what Jaedong was doing, and so he played right into Jaedong's hands. And I think that was probably the key difference there. I'm not sure if Diggity agrees with me on this, but I think the fact that he did not put a Stargate meant he completely surrendered air superiority to Jaedong without a fight, without a contest, and you know, that was, I suppose that was his build, but committing himself to that build, to build without a Stargate, it was always going to be a very tough ask if his opponent did something unpredictable.
I think he was expecting those Hydralisks once again. He saw those 3rd hatchery, saw that 4th hatchery going down, just didn't have that scout in there. Didn't see the layer going up even, and so yeah, I think he was expecting the same thing from thinking back to game 1, was still expecting Hydralisks to be bearing down on him, and so opting for the gateways instead. And
Not showing his opponent enough respect.
Yeah, basically, and then didn't get the what. And additionally, I still can't believe he didn't get a Stargate up anyway, just to get a Corsair, just to get a scout. But nevertheless, and again with that front base build, he had everything looking infantry-wise. And I think Jaedong realizing with that front door the way it was built, first of all, getting those Zerglings in, managing to do a lot of harassment there.